Have you ever wondered why you're stuck, or have you ever thought about why it is that a lot of people are succeeding in maybe learning the language, learning Japanese, and you're not? And you're wondering, okay, why is it that they can do it, but why can't I do it? Well, in today's video, I'm going to dive into this idea of why I think I was able to kind of make this transformation from being somebody who couldn't speak Japanese, who didn't know Japanese, to somebody who's actually now able to read visual novels, who's able to do all these things with Japanese that lots of people would dream of being able to do. And I'm still growing. I'm still getting better, and I'm getting better at an even faster rate right now than I was before. But I still remember how it was back when I really just I really did not like the language in the very beginning. There's just so many things that you learn that is so different than English, and you also have to learn about different forms of speech, things that you learn in English class that you never really care about or you don't really want to know about, things that people usually fail because, I mean, let's face it, we know how to speak English, but that doesn't mean that we use English exactly the way that it was meant to be used, right? Um, so it's the same with Japanese. You know, like people who are natives in Japanese, native Japanese speakers, they don't specifically know the rules. They can learn it, but do they use it perfectly? Do they care about what prepositions they're using while they're talking? Usually they don't. And the idea here that I want to express is that language learning, the reason why it's so painful for us to learn Japanese is because we're learning it a lot like how we're learning English, even though we knew English already. See, so isn't that kind of counterproductive? Doesn't that kind of just not make sense when you really think about it? It really does. So the idea here that I want to put out is, okay, what about people who are like learning, self-studying? So you're learning the language on your own. That's already a great start. You have to explore it, even if you're taking classes. It's imperative that you study on your own outside of the classroom and not even study using it. You know, exposing yourself to Japanese. That's important. So, okay. So we know how to use the language. We know how to explore the language. And we've done it for a few months, maybe a year or so, right? Like this is what I've done. You know, it's like, okay, I want to learn the language. But why is it that I'm still stuck? What is it that makes it why is there this wall, right? And I'll tell you who's behind everything, you know. I'll tell you the reason why you're stuck and why somebody else can do it, right? The reason why you are stuck is literally because who you are by definition is incapable of learning Japanese and mastering it. Who you are as you are at this moment. At this moment. Because if you could and if you would have done it by now. But obviously there's something stopping you. And I'm going to make a bold statement here, and that statement is that a lot of people make this mistake thinking that they're always going to be the same, and also the mistake that the reason why I am the way that I am is due to circumstance. Everything that happened to me, my age, my color, my race, right? My intelligence level, where I'm in, you know, where I live, you know, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too short, I have an accent, you know, I don't look like this, I don't look like that. But the reality of it all is that all these excuses, they're sedating you to the reality that um, no, there's something deeper that you're not facing, something that you are not willing to face, and you have to face it head on. You have to face it head on with courage and bravery. Maybe I'm talking to myself. This is interesting. I'm talking to myself. But maybe that's the thing. Maybe you are not completely me. Heavens no. But maybe there's a part of you that is like me. There's a part of you that relates, that resonates with me. And that part of you that is part of me, we're on the same wavelength. We get it. So that's the idea. There are things that I'm afraid of. There are things that I don't like. I'm human. We're human. But there's this idea that our identity is static, or that we are going to forever be who we are. And that's just simply not true. It doesn't have to be that way. And I've also come to realize that people who don't take responsibility, the less responsibility that you take into your hands, the more you're letting the world and outside forces shape who you are. You have to accept 100% responsibility for everything. Everything. And here's how this relates to another idea, right? Every single thing that you do, every single action that you take, every single action, every single word, every single gesture, an action, it all culminates to the result, the final outcome of who you end up being and what it is that you will actually achieve. From the amount of time it takes you to get up in the morning, dress up, attend to your business, whatever it is, everything matters. Even how much water you drink every day matters. What you, how you clean, how you think, what forms of media you consume, the people that you talk with, the job that you go to. All of these things are having an effect on you. But what's interesting is that you still have a handle on this vehicle called your life, called who you are. And if you keep kind of like putting things off, or you don't address things, or you say it's not my fault because somebody else did this or that, then you're losing control and you're letting that ship go wherever it wants, wherever the waters take it, which can be fun sometimes, unless you find out you're going over a waterfall. And then you realize, yikes, probably need to steer ship now. Need to accelerate, go the other direction, get out of this. You have that ability. Maybe there's more force on you, but you got to take it anyway. But every single thought, every single action matters. And you will not accept this until you accept the fact that, everything in your life that's making who you are is your responsibility. Everything. Every little action that you take, it adds up. So, with this said, how do you make yourself successful in learning Japanese? How do you make it so that you're one of the people who actually becomes fluent? Well, if every single thing matters, every single action you do matters, it doesn't even need to be related to Japanese. It can be how you talk to your mom. It can be how long does it take you to get to work? Are you on work? Do you get to work on time? Are you always late? Or are you early? All of this reflects back into your endeavors, all your endeavors. I heard a saying once, um, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So imagine this. Think of a perfect, now just stick with me here. Think of the most perfect experience you've had with anything. It can be going to a fancy restaurant. It can be going to having a trip, maybe uh, experiencing like an event, maybe a wedding or a honeymoon, right? Imagine something that's really perfect like that. What does it take to get to that point? Why is it that these things stand out so much to us? Well, it's because everything that led up to it and everything that was prepared beforehand, it was done perfectly. And not just perfectly, because I don't want to say perfect, but a lot of time was taken to make sure that this was going to be a good event. Now, I think what's interesting is that life is the same way. This isn't a dress rehearsal. This is the real thing, right? So the idea is all the time that was taken to prepare a special day, a wedding, right? How much time was put into it? How much effort was put into gathering the resources, putting out the invitations, you know, making sure everybody was going to be there, making sure that everything was going to go smoothly, you know. It's supposed to be an unforgettable day, and a day that is just the best day ever, right? Because it represents a union of love and everything. In order for your life to be a good life, I feel like a lot of preparation has to take place, and a lot of execution needs to take place. And everything that has to happen has to be deliberate. It has to make sense, and it has to be intentional. We're not able to just, from responsibility, like taking responsibility is one of the most important things. Most important things. And until you do that, you cannot advance. If you want to be a person who learns Japanese, if you want to be the person that masters it, that's fluent in it, you have to let go of the fact that who you are right now is capable. This is if you're stuck, by the way. But again, I don't think you'd be listening to this if you weren't stuck, right? But you have to let go of all those things. And you have to be able to step into a new identity, a new you. Step into the new you. There's the old you and there's the new you. And you have to be willing to be like, okay, I forgo this identity. Like, I know I don't want to change because change might hurt, but the faster I transform, the better this will be. So, with that said, here we go. You know, think about that. Think about who it is that you need to become in order to win, to make this happen. You know. So, you know what I'm going to say. 2024 is officially the best year ever It's the year of taking souls. Now impress people and take some souls out there.